Okay.
And we're live. So, hey everybody, it's good to see you. We're doing a Georgia Tech versus Ole Miss pre-game preview today, and I am joined by my new friend Trent in the Sipp. Tell him what's up, Trent.
Hey, what's up? How y'all doing?
Yeah, so I had just found this guy. I was actually in an Ole Miss Facebook group, and I saw he had posted his video, and I'm like, no way, an Ole Miss video maker. So I reached out to him, and he was kind enough to come on here and join the show. So we're going to talk about this game coming up here in about 2 days, and we're pretty stoked. So, Trent, if you want to start, you can go ahead and tell the people about yourself as much or as little as you want to, where to find you and
Okay.
stuff like that, and I'll go ahead and drop your link.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, first of all, I do appreciate you inviting me to do this. Definitely means a lot for sure. But yeah, my YouTube channel is called Trent the Sip. I'm a huge Ole Miss fan, and hopefully Ole Miss can win this Saturday. That's what I'm hoping for. But make Ole Miss videos and make other videos here in my town area, and kind of show some other random stuff as well too. But yeah, that's kind of a quick introduction. So
Yeah, so of course we are on opposing sides of the fields, but that doesn't mean we can't get together and talk about the game and
yeah,
have a good time. Um, yeah, so I have just posted your link in the chat. So if anybody wants to pop over there and give old Trent a sub, uh, that would be cool. He makes good videos. I was just going through his videos last night, and he's got some good stuff. So yeah, sub him up, and I really appreciate you coming on here. So without any further ado, why don't we get started talking about this game? So I guess to catch everything up, well, why don't you give us your thoughts on Ole Miss so far this year? Because I know I'm probably not alone. I haven't seen a down of Ole Miss football this year because, of course, you guys have just been playing Troy and Central Arkansas. So tell me about how
yeah.
those games went.
Well, first game of the season did play Troy. In my opinion, I think we kind of played okay, played decent first game of the season. It was a 20-10 win. Last week, played Central Arkansas FCS team and pretty much dominated from the very first play of the game. We beat Central Arkansas 59-3 last week. But so far, well, definitely last week for sure. Pretty impressed with what I saw last week. But Ole Miss has so many new players, bunch of new transfers, and still don't quite have the chemistry and some things still quite figured out. Ole Miss has, I think it's like 28, 29 new transfers. So, of course, new quarterback and new receivers, bunch of new guys on defense as well, too. Just a bunch of new pieces. And I know we're going to get better, improve throughout the season. But the talent, it's definitely there for sure.
Yeah, you guys took like the most transfers of any team, right, in the offseason? That's crazy.
It was, I know it was one of the most. I know we finished second in the country with transfers. So
Okay,
it's
like
pretty good.
transfer rankings or just amount of
Yeah,
transfers? Transfer
transfer
rankings.
rankings. Yeah,
Yeah, and you
yeah,
actually
bunch of
got
4 stars, 5 stars coming in.
yeah, you
Very
actually
good
got a
player.
player from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Jared Ivey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep. It was
yeah.
funny. I did a video on Ole Miss actually a couple weeks ago before the season started. I was looking up, doing a little bit of research, and I found the Sports Illustrated article about the Grove report about, and they were looking at the Georgia Tech Ole Miss matchup, and they were like, okay, we're gonna look at Georgia Tech's defense and key players on there, and they had Jared Ivey listed. I was like, hello. Jared, this was posted in June. He transferred back in
Yeah.
February. I was like, hello, he's not here anymore. He's at Ole Miss. So that cracked me up, man.
People.
Them sports writers, man. Can you believe they get paid to do that?
Some of them are just idiots.
I mean, I
Not gonna
mean,
say any names on here, but
yeah.
there's some people who don't. He shouldn't have that job.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I mean, I yell into my phone on the internet for free, and I know that they had a transfer. So
Yeah.
that cracked me up. Um, but yeah, you guys got Jared Ivey. So is he starting? Is he? Has he? I heard he wasn't starting.
No, he's backup for us.
Okay. Yeah, he was pretty good last year. But our defensive line, I think, is looking pretty good. At least
So is that what you say? Kind of the strongest position group, defensive line, in your opinion?
strongest. Yeah, yeah, probably. And which is not saying much. I mean, if I don't know how much you've been keeping up with my Yellow Jackets, but we.
I did watch part of the Clemson game.
Oh yeah,
Didn't watch you guys last week versus Western
yeah.
Carolina.
Well, yeah, we had Clemson on the ropes for about 3 quarters, didn't we?
Yeah, and
Uh,
then there in the fourth quarter, it was Clemson just took off and never looked back. So,
yeah, yeah. I think. Yeah, it kind of did get ugly towards the end there. So I'm hoping we can keep that from happening this week. Um, but yeah, our defensive line, we do have some promising guys at defensive line, and unfortunately though, our passing defense was among the worst in the country last year, and it hasn't looked it hasn't looked great this year. Of course, Clemson wasn't a test for it. You know,
yeah,
Clemson's like DJ Uyangale is not very good. It's at least his
no, he's
passing goes.
not overrated for sure.
Right. So, yeah, we didn't. Our secondary wasn't tested much in that game, and then against Western Carolina, of course, I think they're actually one of the better like FCS teams, and they were able to throw on us for the first quarter.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw I think it was it like 35-14 or something at halftime.
35. At halftime it was 28-14.
Yeah, I knew it was kind of something like that. So
Oh, they went up.
wasn't a blowout, so it was still kind of pretty close.
Yeah, the final was 35-17. But it was irritating me at the beginning of the game because we started out slow and they went up 7 on us at first, but we wound up getting it together and we pulled away. They like fell apart at the seams. They started like turning it over and and doing he threw so many interceptions and then their quarterback got hurt and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
they had like a lot of penalties. I swear it was like every other play. So I don't know. I don't know. My Yellow Jackets haven't.
Georgia Tech has never been a passing team really. Y'all been
Yeah,
triple option for years, but now y'all kind of have like a pro style offense.
yeah. So we ran the triple option from 2008 or nine to about 4 years ago. This is Jeff Collins' fourth year. So
Yeah,
it's been a rough transition. We've only won 3 games in the past 3 years, and a lot of people are looking at Jeff Collins
not happy.
to
Yeah,
get fired this year. Yeah. So who knows what's going to happen. I feel like this game could be like a pivotal moment in the season. If we get blown out, that could probably kill a lot of our confidence. Um,
oh yeah,
or if we keep it
yeah, there
close,
ain't no
or
doubt.
I don't. I mean, spoiler alert. I don't think we're gonna win, but if we're at least able to keep it close, that might get some confidence in the guys. Um, I know a lot of people were actually down on Ole Miss this year. So I haven't seen this, but did you have? I'm sure you had Georgia Tech as one, but did you have like a schedule prediction for Ole Miss this year?
Yeah, I made one back in the summer, and this team they're pretty good, pretty talented. They definitely have the chance and opportunity to go 10-2.
Oh,
But to me, just being realistic, I kind of see 8-4 for us this year.
okay. A lot of people are even saying, wasn't their over under win total like 7.5?
Yeah, 7.5, 8. It was kind of right in there somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Um.
But back in the summer, I had us losing Texas A&M and LSU, and the past couple of weeks, neither one of those teams have looked good.
Yeah,
So
those look like winnable games, especially
really,
Texas
really for
A&M.
us, really for us right now, I think three biggest games for us this year is going to be Bama, Arkansas, and then we also have Kentucky here in 2 weeks as
Mm-hmm.
well too.
Yeah.
So,
So I guess you're kind of looking at
think 9-3 is a possibility.
I guess you're kind of looking at this game as kind of a bit of a test because you guys have a pretty easy schedule. Then next week, don't you
Oh
go
yeah,
back to playing? You play some crappy team next week too.
yeah, Tulsa.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I'll admit it. I'm the first one to admit it. We got one of the easiest first half schedules in the whole entire
mhm.
country. Troy week 1, Central Arkansas last week. Of course, Georgia Tech this week. This is gonna be the hardest challenge we've had so far. And then we have Tulsa next week. Then we have Kentucky week 5, which ought to be a pretty hard test. And then we have, I think it's Vanderbilt, and then I think it's Auburn after that. So
Mm-hmm.
if we can beat Kentucky, there's a good chance we could start 7-0.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
then, right there around the last part of October, November, we all have like LSU, A&M,
Right.
Arkansas, Bama, all like all back to back to back.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
the last month of the season is gonna be pretty hard for us.
Yeah, tell me about it, man. We got one of the hardest schedules in the country. Uh, we got to play Clemson and Georgia, freaking Ole Miss out of conference, and UCF next week, and Miami and freaking Florida State, man.
Yeah.
Pitt.
UCF's quarterback, John Rice Plumlee, actually used to play at Ole Miss.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
think
he actually transferred from Ole Miss.
I thought I recognized him from somewhere.
He's a pretty good runner, but needs to improve on the passing for sure.
Right? Yeah. I think I watched that Louisville game the other night. I think I heard him talking about that. Which, listen, if Louisville can. If Louisville can go down into Orlando and beat them the second week, okay? But real quick, why don't we got about 9 people in here. Why don't we say what's up to the chat?
Hey, what's up, people?
True
What's
Seminole. Elijah Allen, what's up? Sorgy Stories. CJ. CCD. TD Jake and VicTube. What's up, you guys?
Hey, what's up, guys?
For anybody who doesn't know or didn't hear, this is Trent and the Sipp.
Hey, what's up?
I just met this guy, and we're talking about this Georgia Tech Ole Miss game preview, and I posted his link in the chat, so if you guys want to hop over there and give him a sub, that's much appreciated.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, so this game is at 3:30 in Atlanta, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, 3:30 Eastern time. So
right,
2:30 for me. So
I forget you're an hour behind. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
So, I believe that we had discussed before. To do 3 keys to the game to winning the game for each team. Do you want me to start, or do you want to go ahead and give your keys to Ole Miss?
I'll let you start.
You want me to start? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, first of all, I guess we could do a score prediction.
Okay, sounds good.
But in my opinion, any team that Georgia Tech goes up against that is pass heavy is a bit of a mismatch because, like I said, our secondary last year was not the best. So, with that, I will go ahead and give my first key for Georgia Tech. It is going to be to get pressure on the quarterback, on the new quarterback, because I believe you did say that you have a couple new quarterbacks. Isn't that right?
Yeah, we have a guy named Jackson Dart, transfer from USC, and we also have Luke Altmaier as well too. Both these guys are both sophomores. They're both very, very young quarterbacks. They're both like 19 years old. So they're both inexperienced. Really haven't played too much.
Right, and didn't one start the first game and the other started the other?
Yeah, Jackson Dart started the first game, and then Altmaier started last week. If I had to take a guess, I'm probably going to say Dart probably starting this week. But Kiffin still hasn't announced. He still hasn't, huh?
Was he doing like?
That's kind of how Kiffin is. Kiffin don't really say nothing early. He's gonna wait to the last minute to say something.
Right.
So. he ain't on announcing until late Friday night or Saturday morning. That's
Jeff
how he
Collins
does.
is like that too. We had this 4-star recruit that came in last year that we were so hyped on, and he got hurt in fall camp, and apparently still hurt, and nobody knows, and he won't say anything about it. So he could show up any of these weeks, and I don't know. But one guy broke his leg, and he was a transfer we got last year, and he broke his leg in fall camp, and I didn't find out until like last month. I mean, I
Wow.
knew he was out, but I didn't know what happened
Yeah.
or why or how long. Well, yeah, he broke his leg. But anyway, so you have these two new quarterbacks. Was Lane Kiffin doing like Jim Harbaugh and giving them each a chance to, how Jim Harbaugh did? He said
Yeah.
he had J.J. McCarthy and Cade McNamara start 1-1, and then he would pick for week 3. Is that what Kiffin was doing, kind of?
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Altmaier was on the team last year, but of course we lost Matt Corral, and of course Matt
Right.
Corral was one of the best quarterbacks last year in college football,
Yeah.
and I mean you have a young quarterback like Luke Altmaier that's just kind of okay, decent quarterback, but of course as a coach you always want somebody better.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how you are. So of course, Kiffin was looking for a quarterback, and he found one with Jadson Dart, which is also he was a freshman last year as well too. And basically, the two guys just kind of competed this all season, and it's still not official yet. But
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
the
just one more
quarterback is
thing.
definitely a drop off this year for us.
Yeah, that's just one more thing for us to have to game plan for. I guess is you don't know which quarterback's going to be coming out. So, but
Yeah,
either way, you have two young quarterbacks that are kind of just getting their first starts in football. So we're going to need to rely on our defensive line to get pressure on him now. How about how's your offensive line look?
the offensive line is kind of weird because this is basically the same group of guys from last year,
Mm-hmm.
but we lost basically the best way to kind of explain this to you right quick. We lost one guy, and then we have moved some of the guys from left tackle to right tackle, and then some of the guys from tackle to guard, and then one of our guards from last year is now playing center.
Mm-hmm.
So we basically we have 4 of the 5 same starters. They just all moved around different positions. Now, whenever we run the ball, the run protection looks pretty good, but for some reason we've had problems the last couple of weeks with the pass protection.
Mm.
Why I don't know, but that's just how it is.
Well, that's good. That's good news for us then.
Um, I mean, we've had some false starts and holding calls and just little mistakes like that too, just like any other team. But
Mhm.
these guys are gonna get better. Even the center, he's had some high snaps, low snaps, snap it to the left, to the right. This is his first time ever playing center, so he's still
Uh,
not used to it either.
Gotcha. Yeah, our center in the Clemson game, there were some clips of him, and he was like jogging around. He was gassed. He was really worn out. So yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah, I feel you. But well, that's good news for us then, because
yeah,
if we can get pressure on the pass D, then our run D, I feel pretty confident. In. We also have really good linebackers. I
yeah. That's what I was saying. Yeah, the top two guys for y'all are leading tacklers, both play linebackers.
Yeah, so actually,
Kind of the same story for us too. I can talk about that in a minute, but
I would probably say linebacker is probably our best position. AC Lee and um, Charlie Thomas are two amazing players, and they've been here. Well, Ely got here last year; he was a transfer, but they're both like senior guys, and they're very
yeah,
experienced. You said you had some good linebackers too.
yeah, we got a couple of them too. And to be honest with you, this is kind of a surprise to Ole Miss fans. Or actually, one story short, Ole Miss lost their top 4 linebackers last year. The top two guys, the top two actually both went NFL, both drafted last year. But it's still kind of crazy to think about it. You lose your top 4 linebackers, and of course, the fans like me are worried, and
Mm-hmm.
coaches are worried, and Long story short, we went to the portal. We got some guys, and still kind of thought, like, okay, these guys may still be okay or decent, but I think maybe this is just kind of my opinion, but I think the guys kind of took it as a challenge. Like, hey, like
Yeah.
all the fans don't believe in us. Nobody thinks the linebackers are gonna be good this year. I think they kind of have a point to prove.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Always nice when you get unexpected production out of a group you figure is going to be a weakness. That's kind of how our D line was looking. I mean, um, our D line was pretty good last year. Not a lot of sacks, but they got decent pressure. And then of course, we lost two of our like best guys, and I was like, man, one of the decent groups we have on our team, and they're gone. But no, I've liked what I've seen from them so far. But
Yeah.
Real quick, let's take a look into the chat again and see who's hanging out with us. CCD asking for the PayPal. It's in the description, man. So I appreciate that. Any PayPals will go directly back into the channel. Very much appreciated. Seminole Seth wants to know, can I get a Go Knowles? I'm not so sure I'm not so sure about that. I don't know about that, man. We play all this year, man. I can't be on here saying things such as that. Okay. This guy Grant Bernberg says go Ole Miss. He is a Georgia State fan that has it out for Georgia Tech for whatever reason. It's a little brother syndrome, I guess. Is kind of what he's got going on.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hey, you said he's Georgia State fan.
Yep.
Actually, I actually kind of know one of the coaches there at Georgia State,
Really?
kind of somewhat. Yeah. Dan Ellington. That's what everybody calls him. His real name is Dan Terrius. He was actually the former quarterback there at Georgia State a couple years ago, but now he's one of the coaches now. But he's a guy from this area, and I remember watching him back in high school, and he played JUCO for a couple of years in the area, and then he went to Georgia State last couple of years. So.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, Grant, if you know that guy, then
Haven't talked to Dan in quite a while, but always pretty cool guy.
Well, maybe he knows him. Maybe he's stoked on hearing about that. So,
I mean,
VicTube Production says that he subbed to you. Thanks, VicTube.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah,
means a lot.
Yeah, he makes good videos. So, who else we got in here? Ultra Magadog, Seminole Seth, Travin Fools, yo. Grant Perberg. He's probably still hurting because I just destroyed him on Twitter the other day. That's probably why he's in here talking about Go Ole Miss. CJ says he just subscribed to you too. So, hey, we're getting you a couple subs. Yeah, so
appreciate it.
Yeah, this is what it's all about. I guess we got pretty sidetracked, didn't we?
Yeah, kind of somewhat.
We were talking about that's cool. We were talking about
the linebackers.
Yeah, your linebackers. Yeah. And I was saying, yeah, that just now that I think of it, that's probably our best position group. I've been also pleasantly surprised by the wide receivers, which I found this small Georgia Tech channel. I think it's run by a few students, and they just do like a podcast, and they were saying they were disappointed with the wide receivers and that we don't have the guy at wide receiver, and I was like, what? Nate McCollum has really showed out. So
that's the leading receiver so far for y'all.
Yeah, Nate McCollum. He's he was here last year, and he wasn't like insanely good or anything. Of course, we freaking lose Jahmyr Gibbs, and that was devastating to me.
For y'all.
He's at Alabama now, and man, he's so good.
He's pretty good. Freaking
yeah. But man, I get to think about Gibbs. I forgot what I was saying.
You're still talking about the linebackers.
The wide receivers.
Oh,
yeah, I've been surprised with Nate McCollum, and then we also have back one of our veteran, senior wide receivers, Malachi Carter, which he was great for us last year. But this year he hasn't. He's been off the grid, like on a milk carton. He's been playing. He just hasn't had any really good plays. So I'm kind of expecting him to break out any day now. So yeah, that's another position group that I kind of been pleasantly surprised with. Of course, we got this like 6'7" receiver too, who's a mismatch, really, in the end zone. He's like a red zone threat, which is something that complements us really nicely because I find a lot of the time that we get down to the end zone and cannot capitalize on it. So
we've got a bunch of small corners. So
yeah, so that sounds great. That sounds great. So that is my first key in a very roundabout way. My first key of the game is get pressure on the quarterbacks. If we can, basically as much as we can do to prevent having to like we don't want to give up these huge explosive plays, which Ole Miss has been, under Lane Kiffin has been kind of known for. Which he puts up. I don't think that we can get into a shootout. I don't think if we're gonna win, it's gonna have to be, in the 20s and 30s. Once you get to the 40s, 50s, we're not able to score that many points. So, pressure on the quarterback, on the young quarterbacks, maybe get some sacks, some turnovers and stuff like that. So, do you want me to keep going, or do you want to give one of your keys? How you want to do it?
I'll just let you finish, and I'll go ahead.
All right. So that actually is my biggest key. If we can keep that up. The other one is kind of the other two are kind of obvious, I guess. But nonetheless, it's Georgia Tech, and these are problems that we've had for like going on 4 years now, and still a problem. So. I don't know how much of my videos you've seen, but I probably come across as a unhinged lunatic sometimes when I get to talking. It's frustrating because
I'm sure I'm thinking the same about me sometimes too.
So we have we have some problems, and one of those I haven't been stoked on is penalties. We had a ton of penalties in the Clemson game. We had like way more than they did in the Clemson game, and it seemed to be cleaned up last week, but, the false starts were a big problem. And then, the false starts is actually the biggest problem. And Jeff Sims in his interview said that it was just first game jitters. So I hope that's it. But we cannot kill ourselves with penalties. And then my third key of the game, is also another don't kill yourself, is turnovers. Because, and this is actually mostly focused on Jeff Sims, because I don't know if you caught the very first play of the Clemson game, but Jeff Sims drops back and throws a 30-yard interception on the very first play of the season.
I watched it.
And that...
Yeah, you're like, here we go again. another bad year of Georgia Tech football.
I mean, you can't write it better than that, man. I mean, we're I mean, you can't even. So, so that is going to be needed something. I haven't been stoked on Jeff Sims from what I've seen from him. It's inconsistent, and even last week against WCU, like a better team would have intercepted some of those balls that he was throwing. So, he's gonna need to get that worked out. Hopefully, he's had enough time now, and or at least these first 3 games, and maybe he's get it cleaned up by UCF. But that's a problem that Jeff Sims has had for as long as he's been here. So that's something I really hope to see get cleaned up this year, because we're counting on him. Okay, so that's mine. So why don't you give us yours?
Okay, so you just mentioned turnovers. I think you could say kind of the same thing for us too. Once again, we have 2 pretty young quarterbacks, Luke Altmaier, Jadson Dart, both sophomores. Once again, still don't know who's starting this Saturday. If I had to take a guess, probably going to say Jackson Dart, but Jackson Dart's one of those guys, very, very good football player, very talented. It's really just decision making for him. A lot of times misses open receiver, sometimes throws in double coverage. Just kind of plain and simple, just doesn't make the best decisions sometimes. Last week versus Central Arkansas looked pretty good. Had a bunch of very good accurate balls, but versus Troy, there was a bunch of just bad throws and a bunch of overthrown balls. So you can kind of say the same thing for him too. Just like Jeff Sims is kind of inconsistency. So
Mm-hmm. Hey,
we,
also,
of course, I hope we had the good Jackson Dart this Saturday.
mm-hmm.
So
Also, what about what do you think about Lane Kiffin has sort of got a reputation now for going for it on fourth down? Does that drive you crazy or what?
yeah, it definitely drives you crazy for sure.
It cracks
He
me
hasn't
up.
he hasn't done it quite as much this year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just because we're playing easier teams and haven't really played harder teams, not as close games so far. But pretty much, if you're past the 50, he's gonna go for it. If it's pretty much if it's 4th and 5, past the 50, he's gonna go for it. So
It's like the inner fan in us, and we're all like, "Go for it!" Because you always want to go for
yeah,
it, and Lane Kiffin
but
actually does
then
it, and it,
but then there's several times last year, of course, where you can get the first down and the other team has the ball right there at the 50 or
yeah,
40-yard line or whatever. So
yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I was meaning to ask you about that because that cracks me up that he does that. So limit turnovers. Yeah, that's very important. I mean, that's one of the fundamentals of the
that's
game.
kind of a key too. Is the coach has to make good decisions. So
Yeah, and yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we I don't know if you saw right before the halftime of the Clemson game, Jeff Collins lets the clock go down. He wastes like 40 seconds off the clock when Clemson's on fourth down and just goes to halftime when, we could have had taken a shot, downfield and
yeah,
try to get some points because we were down one or two scores at halftime. But yeah, so good decisions. Yeah, not something I'm used to again. But so is that was that your third one?
well, that's kind of my first one, really. Talking about the quarterback just making better decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, I have to say the offensive line. We kind of talked about this earlier, but whenever you run the ball, the run protection looks pretty good, but for some reason the pass protection not looking nowhere as good. Even you kind of mentioned this with Georgia Tech as well too. Just too many false starts, holding calls, and of course that's on instead of 1st and 10, that's gonna make you 2nd and 10, 2nd and 15, whatever. So it's just harder to get first down. So it's kind of just making better decision for the offensive line. So that's kind of my second thing. Third thing I would have to say would probably be, I mean, I guess you kind of say the receivers. Haven't got the receivers quite as involved as what I've been kind of hoping for the last couple of weeks. I'm hoping we can get the receivers more involved this week. Ole Miss is a run heavy team. And I'll talk about this for a minute. You have two guys I want you to watch out for Saturday with Ole Miss. The starting running back is Zach Evans, number 6.
Yeah, he's the one that transferred to 100 different places, and he's like this 5-star that couldn't seem to land somewhere. So, yeah,
one of the craziest recruiting stories ever. So, but yeah, now he's at Ole Miss. But yeah, Evans is kind of more of a smaller, faster running back. I think he kind of has a little LT in him.
Oh, really?
Tomlinson from the Chargers, kind of who he reminds me of. And then the other running back is going to be Quinshawn Junkins, true freshman from Alabama. Man, that kid's special. Long story short, he actually graduated high school a year early. The kid's like 17 right now. I think 17, maybe 18. The kid's still very, very young, but man, the kid runs so hard, has so much heart, never gives up on the play. And whenever you see him Saturday, you'll see what I'm talking about. The kid just doesn't give up, man. But those two guys right there, they're averaging over 90 yards a game so far here in 2 weeks. And Ole Miss actually posted something the other day saying There's no other team right now in college football that has two running backs averaging over 90 yards a game.
Oh, wow.
Both of these guys are both, I think, both top 6 or top 7 in rushing right now in the SEC.
That's a good matchup then, because
So
we
we
posted
got good
some
running backs.
similar about our linebackers. So that's
Yeah, we're very,
cool.
very, very run heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss definitely run the ball more than we do pass. I'm gonna say Ole Miss runs the ball about 65, 70% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably pass 30 or 35, but even our third string running back, he's actually transferred from SMU. Usalis been with the fourth. He's pretty good, pretty talented too. So
Okay. So you got some good running back.
I think he had over 600, 700 yards last year at SMU. And he already has, I think it's like 60, 70 yards, I believe, here in 2 weeks. And that's just like a 5 or 6 carries. So
Okay. So I'll have to
that's not
watch
too
out.
bad.
Yeah.
He's kind of more of like a power back, kind of. He actually has 3 touchdowns already here in 2 games. So a lot of times, whenever it's like first and goal, second, third, or something, kind of like that, at the short plays. That's kind of when we bring him in.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Ole Miss has 3 pretty good, amazing, outstanding running backs. So the running backs definitely are a strength for sure.
Okay. Well, cool. Yeah. Well, yeah. I feel better about defending the run right now than the pass, but
Yeah,
that'll be interesting to see.
the passing game definitely still has some question marks.
Yeah.
Last week they looked pretty good, but that was versus a team that was in the FCS. But
Right.
week 1 versus Troy, things are just not quick and things just not working out.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Yeah. Okay. Well, I see what you're saying here. Okay. So that's the rundown on our keys to the game. See what's up in the chat here. B Bean, what's up? Country Tiger, how's it going, man?
hey, can I mention something else right quick too?
Absolutely.
Yeah, didn't even talk about the defense, but the Ole Miss defense is pretty good too. Not trying to brag here, but I'm just telling the truth. I really do believe this is gonna be one of the best defense in the whole entire country this year. I really do believe it. Whenever the season
Wow.
ends, I believe it's gonna be a top 15, top 20 defense in the country, if not higher.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
it's not giving up many yards, passing, running. Ole Miss, we are actually, I believe, we're 4th in the country right now with turnovers. We already have like 7 turnovers in 2 games, so we don't force some turnovers this weekend.
well, that's bad news.
Interceptions, fumbles, or something. So
Well, that's bad news for us, then, I guess. It
I
ought to
mean,
be a very good.
gave up 10 points versus Troy.
Mm-hmm.
Gave up 3 last week.
That's good, because that was
really our opponents really haven't got past the 50 too many times versus us either.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a challenge. I'm just saying it's gonna be a challenge for the Georgia Tech offense.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. It's a pretty interesting matchup. Our schools don't really have much of a history together. I think we've only played 4 times ever.
The last time we played each other was back in I think it was 2013, 2014.
Yep.
Music City Bowl. They're
Yep.
in Nashville. So Ole Miss won the game. So.
Yep. Yeah, y'all are on a little two-game winning streak.
I think we won that game by I think it was like a touchdown, maybe 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of close,
Yeah.
but Ole Miss poured it out. So.
CCD, thank you for the PayPal so much. Says love my channel. Hopefully Jeff is gone soon. Yeah, I sure would love that. I sure would love a new coach. But anyway, our man Trent in the Sipp here has a tough work schedule, and I promised to get him out of here by 8 o'clock his time, because he's got to be up early, and I can totally relate to that, man. So. Hey, I really appreciate you coming on here.
I'll be waking up before you know it.
Yeah. I really appreciate you coming on here, man. This was fun.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, I appreciate you doing this, man. It means a lot. So
yeah, we'll have to maybe get together another time soon, or hey, hopefully come around some of our channels lately and you can we do a lot of live stream talking football and stuff like that. So don't be a stranger around here. We'll
Oh, I'll be back.
yeah, don't be a stranger for sure. And maybe we could do something again. I know we have a home and home. So we'll be over at the Grove next year. That's a game I would love to go to.
Yeah, you need to come. It's pretty cool. So
yeah, so we're gonna get out of here. Everybody, go subscribe to Trent and the Sipp. I posted his link in the chat one more time. We really appreciate everybody showing up. And Trent, if you got any parting words for the people.
I just appreciate y'all listening to me and tuning in. So
all right,
short and sweet.
Absolutely. So we're gonna get out of here. See who wins Monday. Hopefully it'll be my Jackets, but we'll get out of here.
Rebels.
Yeah.